So at what point did you decide you wanted to pursue music as your profession? Like, this is exactly what I want to do.
Um, hmm. So in high school, well, actually junior high school, um, I started looking in. We had these magazines and newspapers that would come out where they would kind of list in the back people that were looking for singers, or you could audition for like these plays or to be a backup singer or whatever. Backstage was one of the papers, but there were a bunch of them. And I was, into these things. I used to try to find things that I could audition for, even though I was young. There were still, things for teens, like I said, plays. New York City is like Broadway, right? So we have plays, right? So you can audition to be in these plays. So I was doing all of this at a young age from junior high school. And I ended up getting a gig with Paul Simon. Um, Again, I don't know, young people, do your research. Paul Simon, Simon and Garfunkel, they were huge, 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 huge. You may know them from he sang with a big African band, not really a band, but they called Lady Smith Black Mamboso. They were 100 Africans with bare feet, and they would dance and sing and all harmony, like with no music. It was so wonderful back in the 80s. So, Paul Simon kind of hooked up with them, and he did a whole album from Graceland was the name of that album. So I actually am featured on that album
Wow.
from when I was a teenager. I got a gig with Paul Simon, and I would go to his house. He would have us rehearsing in his house in Park, out on Park Avenue, like right by the park, Central Park. And if anybody knows about New York, like that's like the highest rent you can possibly pay in New York City is like right there by Central Park, especially back then. So yeah, I was doing that, and I really, that's when I saw like, hey, I can make money. This is great. Get to meet people, and he ended up doing a video for an old song of his called Me and Julio Down by the Schoolyard. Now, Paul Simon is a New Yorker. He's born and bred in what we call like the Lower East Side. Okay. So he wanted to do a video featuring this new trend in the 80s that was what? Rappers. And he said to me, well, do you know any rappers? And I said, yeah, I know some rappers. I didn't know no rappers. But I said, yeah, I know some rappers. I can get some rappers. What you need? He's like, yeah, I want to do a remix for this song. Man, we ended up getting Big Daddy Kane and Biz Markie and some other rapper on this record. And we shot a video, and I actually casted the video with a lot of my friends from junior high school. And that was when I realized like, ooh, I can do some things in this business. And that was in the 80s. That was in the late
That is
80s.
amazing. Wow. I don't think from my research I've
Yeah.
heard you really say that, but that's crazy that because, many people don't know, but Simon and Garfunkel is like one of the best selling groups, right? From the
Listen,
1960s. Yeah. And
ever,
so for
ever.
you to
Right.
get in that early, and you're in junior high and you're experiencing that already. What was like your state of mind at that time? Like it was like unbelievable or?
I mean, yeah, like just really, like, okay, you're on your shit. But, growing up in New York, the hustle is real. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, that's what we do as New Yorkers. So it wasn't like a big deal to me. You know what I'm saying? It was what we do. This is what we do out here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm used to. So we're going to hustle. We're going to get to the money, and we're gonna, figure out, what we're doing. And like I said, I was young, but I had that hustle in me, and I love the music. So yeah.
So were you featured on a lot of his songs?
I was featured on 2 songs on that album, and we rehearsed for actually it was going to be a whole project, but he ended up abandoning the project. I forget why, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever. We rehearsed for it, and that just kind of got me open to like, you know, just getting out there, doing more auditions. I ended up getting a gig singing backup for Shaka Khan, which was like,
Ooh.
wow, that's what was next. Like after that, I ended up singing backup for Shaka Khan um, in high school. You know what I'm saying? I traveled with her the summer I graduated from high school. I went with this band, this all R&B band that came from Harlem. We were Harlem based, and this band went to Japan for a whole 30 days. And I was the female lead singer, and I was a kid. Everybody else was grown. I was a teenager, and everybody else was like in their 20s and 30s. But I traveled with this band to Japan. My parents had to give me permission, and that was awesome, cover band.
Yeah. So you were saying that you were touring for like 30 days as a teenager in Japan.
Yes, for 30 days with a band, like a Harlem-based band, and I was the lead singer, female singer, and we did like covers. And then after that, I got this gig with Shaka Khan, singing backup for Shaka Khan overseas. We went to Japan, we went to Germany, we went to England, we went to just all over the world. That was a whole summer that I toured with her. So, yeah, I was doing all this stuff in my teens.
Wow. So for you though, like, okay, you're living in Queens most of your life at that point, right?
Right.
And then you go touring worldwide. Like, what was that experience like? I'm sure it made you so much more of a well-rounded person.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
it opened you up.
yeah, no, it was great. I was doing things that my peers were not really doing. So I didn't have a lot of people to talk or that, related to it in my age group. So, it was interesting. I had a lot of friends, grown, grown friends, and people that I went around with. So I was very mature for my age.